Do it. Hey, what's happening, Ward Wrestling Live? Good morning. I think it's Thursday. It's Thursday. All my days are running together. Our show, obviously, Ward Wrestling Live. We're brought to you now by this month. We're brought to you by Manscaped. So they got that new lawnmower 3.0. Go to manscaped.com. Type in the code WARD, W-A-R-D, and you get 20% off. You know what they say, right? A stump looks bigger in a desert than it does in the woods. So let's get your lawnmower going, and we'll get that done. But meanwhile, we're here with the great Glen Lanham. I hope I said that right. He's the head coach of Duke University. Been there, I believe, since 2012, right, Coach?
Yes.
He's a two-time D1 All-American at Oklahoma State and Tennessee. He was a freestyle wrestling All-American, and he was part of the great Sunkist kids growing up. Got to do big things there, and he's here with us today. Man, Coach, it's an absolute honor to have one of ACC's fine coaches on here with me. Thank you so much for coming on.
It's good to be on. I'm glad we can spread some Duke love throughout your audience here.
Yeah, I like it. Go Blue Devils. You're doing big things there. First of all, talk about this summer, kind of a weird, different summer. Were you able to do anything at all with your kids?
Well, they had us locked down for quite a bit. Durham was a little tougher than outside areas, so we just started to get on the mat here the last, I would say, week, getting guys back on the mat, getting guys back in the weight room. We started school 3 weeks ago, so getting students back on campus. So we don't have any seniors or juniors on campus. But all of our kids are here, but the regular general population, it's kind of short. So, but it's been good. We've been testing every week and trying to make sure our guys stay healthy. So that's a new thing that we're going to have to get used to, wearing the mask and doing all that kind of stuff. So our guys have been pretty good about it. We've had guys, no fails so far. So we're hoping to have a season, but it's been weird, but it's been, the key word's been flexibility for sure.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I've heard that some of the, a lot of the big colleges, Big Ten, ACC, obviously colleges that do have some money and some medical programs. Obviously, Duke's got that great medical system there. But you guys are able to test pretty frequently, test your guys before practice. I read something where they'll quarantine for, a few minutes while you guys get the test done, and it comes back and then it's to practice. And I mean, that's great, because if you catch a kid prior to practice, you can send them up to the room or whatever and do that. But it's also great because you have access to immediate results and you're able to wrestle, right? I mean, the kids got to be happy to be back in the room, back on the mats.
Oh, no doubt. So we're fortunate. Dr. Wolf is not only part of the Duke family, but the NBA, the NFL. He's an ear to all those organizations as well. So to have that type of medical that's right at your doorstep is unbelievable for us. So it kind of puts us ahead of the curve. Our guys kind of figure it out really quick on what to do. So we test every Saturday, and our guys go through the test, and to make sure that they pass. We know within 48 hours, they have a symptom monitoring link that we follow as well too. So there's a lot of protective protocol put in place to make sure that our student athletes are safe here at Duke.
It's great to start to see this. Like we see where a lot of these big tournaments that are being put on, New Way has kind of made it their thing to understand kind of the protective, protecting these kids and coming in with certain precautions and being able to get these tournaments running. And hopefully as they get better at it, even at the college level, we can see the scuffle go on, and we can see the NCAAs go on, and we can see tournaments start to happen, because now everyone's learned how to do the precautions correctly, and it'll be fun to be able to see sport again, right?
No doubt. Well, what we have to remember as a wrestling organization, we're way ahead of the room cleanliness and all of those things. I mean, we have the wipes, and we have the soap, and we have all that stuff. So our guys are kind of used to the protocols that are put in place where a lot of coaches, I'm on a call and, they're talking about, well, coaches, you're going to have to, you may have to clean your facilities where you're at. You may, and these coaches are like, how do you do that? How do you do that? And I'm like sitting back as a wrestling coach, we do that every day. So for us, I think we have to get our story out. We've been through all the major, you look at the 90s where you had, the athletes passing away and then so wrestling made adjustments. And then, where that the skin diseases and all that stuff. So we're way ahead of the curve when it comes to just protecting our student athletes. So now this is just another wrinkle that, we as coaches understand, like the cleanliness part of wash your hand, wear a mask, do all that kind of stuff. Where our athletes are already just kind of, we're used to that type of regimen. So for us, it's just like, okay, it's a little bump, but it's not major like football. And then we can control our environment. Okay, I can look at, my 25 pounder and my 33 pounder and say, okay, you're going to go with each other all day, or you're going to go with each other the whole week. Football, basketball, all these sports, you can't do that. Your quarterback hands the ball off to a running back. You got 5 guys tackling him. You don't know who's who. You know what I'm saying? So I know if I set my practices up that day where I have, my 25 pounder going with my 33 pounder, I could have him go the whole month with each other. You guys go the whole month with each other. So that way we can control our environment. We know, and then even for duels, your 25 pounder is going to wrestle your 25 pounder. We can separate. We can weigh in differently. So there's a lot of things that we can do. I was talking to Mike Moyer, and my big bone to pick with him is like, okay, so we're a high-risk sport. Why? I want to know why. Because, our guys we can control our environment right up to our competition environment. We know who's going to wrestle who. He has a fever. Okay, he's not wrestling this guy. Football, you don't know. You don't know who's going to. Basketball, you pass that ball to somebody else's arm. So our sport, I don't know why. We got to figure that out, because if we don't have an NCAA tournament, we're going to have some problems. We need to have an NCAA tournament.
And I think, again, I'm a rookie at this sport, right? But I see that you have weigh-ins where kids show up. We got to show up at a tournament at 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, get the kids there early. So with weigh-ins can come temperature checks. So right then and there, as kids are walking in the room. And I think people who are not in sport or have never been in sport. So like my wife is in the medical field, right?
Right.
She's been very, very, very strict through this whole thing. My kids have not been allowed out of the house until the last 2 weeks. And, but she's never been in sport. So theoretically in her mind, she looks at wrestling and says, okay, wrestling, contact sport, people touching, bad, right?
Yeah.
And my son who wrestles, and I have been trying to say, well, you don't understand the process of wrestling as far as what they've done. And, okay, sure. No matter how clean you are people going to get a skin disease from time to time? Are people going to get whatever? You can't hold that against the sport, but the sport has been known to be one of the cleanliness, proactive, protective sports out there. And we see it. Like when I went to App State for the camp, after every single rotation, they had the seniors or the college students come out with their sprayers.
Yeah.
So every time. And this wasn't during the pandemic. This was just during camp.
Right.
Nothing was going on. So when I go to club, every time, club's not going on now, but when we do go to clubs, during every break, they're cleaning. During every break, they're telling the kids, make sure you go to the defense soap or whatever it is. And so, yeah, I think it's just a process of, I think people say the country overreacted a bit, which, sometimes we need a bit of overreaction to get people on the right track. But I think now people are settling in. It seems to be going in the right direction. And it'll be good. Like I told you before we got on, I get to go to my first tournament here next week. And it'll be fun to see wrestling again live.
No doubt. That's what I'm looking forward to, is just to get on the mat. Even the way, our season's going to start January 1, and, they're looking at possibly 8 duels, and then going into the ACC tournament, and then 2 weeks later, going into the, NCAA tournament. So I'm excited just to have a tournament. We need to have a tournament, but we need to have a tournament the right way. Right now there's a thing talking about 16-man brackets. I just don't think that's not going to benefit our student athlete. As a conference, the ACC, you look how many guys we're qualifying. We're averaging 4 guys per weight, and that's 6 schools. So we're like, when you look at our numbers, we're like right up there with the Big Ten. For us, we can't go backwards and all of a sudden have our finalists and then maybe 1 or 2 guys in a different weight class qualify. We're too good for that. So we need to figure it out. But we need to have a tournament. We need to have a 32-man bracket, and we need to get it on out there in St. Louis.
And I think there's adjustment. Like I spoke to Tony Greathouse, who's bringing the GFC to Myrtle Beach, and before where it was like, okay, everybody go wrestle. He's changed it to where it's 2 days now instead of 1 day, and he is and he's splitting up where varsity division is going to wrestle this day, and then he's going to have elites break up, and but we're wrestling. So all he did was say, okay, I can still have my tournament. I'm going to adjust it. Now it's bigger and better, and that's great. Brent Branson, coach loves his Ohio boys. Lord, Ohio wrestlers are better than Florida wrestlers. Wait a second. Our best can compete with your best.
Gotcha. They do know I love my Ohio boys. I got them on staff, and I got them in the room, and we love. I think it all started with Lexington High School. I mean, it was like gold there. We were just getting one after another. So I was like, man, if this is good, let's get in that state, and let's let Tom Ryan can't get them all. So
yeah. Hey, Coach Glenn makes doctors and lawyers. Hey, so man, let's do it. Duke Wrestling, man, you've been there. You've been locked in there for, gosh, almost a decade now, right?
Yeah. Hard to believe. Crazy.
Man, building that program, and you've decided to add some awesome names to your coaching tree with Erickson and NATO. But first, man, let's talk about Duke Wrestling. Your philosophy, your culture in the room. What you're about. What's Duke Wrestling?
Well, I'm a blue collar guy. So I'm not really too in tune with the connect. I mean, my dad was a plumber. My mother was a nurse's aide. So, I mean, I've just, I had 5 brothers, 3 sisters. So there was a lot of scrapping going on in that house. So I had no choice but to be a wrestler. But, I look for guys that, when they come to college, they realize that it's an opportunity to better the rest of your life. They're not coming here looking to cut their wild oats, and not coming here looking for the party atmosphere. They want to get here. They want to get a great degree. They want to have a great experience on the mat. And we, I tell people, we're not Campbell's Soup. So Campbell's Soup, they get the chicken, they get the rice, they get all that stuff together. I said, I want that. I just want to be the salt. I just want to be that salt and pepper. I want to make that soup taste a little better within 5 years. And that's kind of what we do. We get good kids, and at the end of their time here, people notice, he was a good kid going into Duke, so they didn't really do that too much. But he is a little different, just a little better. And that's what we try to do. I mean, I don't want to make the soup. I just want to be the guy that, with this big chef hat, that makes the salt run down my arm and put a little bit of flavor on it.
You're the Emerald, right? Bam.
I'm the Emerald. I'm the pow guy. The bam, the wow, whatever Emerald says.
Boom,
that's the guy. I have the boom. That's what I want to do.
You've been there long enough now where you have created great men in society. So it's got to mean a lot to you when they get that business degree, that law degree, when they go on and become, like I was talking to other coaches in your conference, and they're like, man, I got a guy at Harvard right now doing medical, and a guy working as a doctor, and we created good wrestlers, and it's fun to see them go past and love the sport and get back to sport, but it's so cool to see what they're doing now in life. And
no doubt. So what is exciting to me is when these guys graduate and their experience at Duke was just so good that they want to give back. So right away, within the next year, they're talking about, hey, how do I get involved with the Iron Dukes? How do I make the next guy's experience better? And that to me shows that they had a great experience. Because look, when I first got here, I was fortunate to be an assistant here for 2 years. So I kind of sat back and kind of watched the program and things that you want to change and make better. And I said, look, what I wanted is balance. I didn't want guys like, the first week I have a test, you're not going to see me for a month because I'm going to go study. I was like, you're a Division I athlete. No other sport does that. We don't want to be looked at as a club. We want to be looked at as a D1 program where we're going to compete. We're going to be successful. We're going to have All-Americans, and we have a great streak going. We're up there with, like Michigan and those guys for having, the most, that longest streak of putting All-Americans out. So, and then, being too, where academically, so we get up there and we place in the top 25, top 10 academically as well. So I wanted that balance for our program, and that's what we've been able to do. Hey, if you're a competitor, you do it in the classroom, you do it on the mat, and you do it in the community. There's no reason to shut down and focus on one. We want guys that can focus on different tasks, and at the end of the day, come away. It's a crazy. So we have engineers, we have doctors, but also we have guys. We have 2 guys that are going to be Navy SEALs right now. So, and we had one guy on Wall Street and making a lot of money, doing a lot of good things. He calls me up. He's like, Coach, I think I want to do something different. I was like, okay, so what do you want to do? You want to get off Wall Street? You want to go to Chicago? You want to do it? He's like, no, I need to come down and get a face-to-face with you. So I was like, yeah, come on down. So he's like, I want to give this all up. My dream is always, I knew he wanted to do Secret Service, but he's like, I want to be a Navy SEAL. And I was just like, okay, are you sure? He goes, yes, I want to do this. I feel like I want to get my life in this order. And I said, I'm happy, one, that you would come back and talk to us about, but I'm happy that the process of being a Duke would get you ready for that challenge. So super excited. He just finished up in Illinois. Now he's getting ready to go down to San Diego and getting ready to get into the real stuff. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, Brent Branson just said Bo Branson.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I was going to ask, because I'm sure when you're on the recruiting trail and you're talking to kids, the kids want to wrestle, right? So you can talk wrestling with them and they'll just eat it all up. And they're like, yeah, Coach, I just want to wrestle.
Yeah.
But of course, the parents are like, hey, wait a second, Coach, this is Duke.
Yeah.
The academics are going to be tough on my kid. He's smart, but obviously it's still next level. Just like he can be a state champion, but you go to college, it's a new show, right?
Right.
How are you going to keep my child focused on both? Making sure that he's still, he's not losing focus on the classroom, and he's not losing focus on the wrestling, and he's moving forward on both tracks. If that makes sense.
No, that definitely does. So that's a lot of that used to be the recruiting tool against us. It's like, hey, if you go to Duke, they're heavy on the academics, you're not going to make it. Then we started popping out All-Americans, and then that kind of changes. But I mean, our graduation rate here amongst student athletes is 98%. So 98% of the student athletes that come into Duke, they graduate. Our academic support is unbelievable here. The class size, 15-1, the ratio. So they get individual attention. The tutors here are unbelievable. So if I tell the parents, if your son can get up and get out of bed and go to class, guess what? In 4 years, 5 years, you're going to be seeing him graduate. So that's the thing. It's got to be, the start of it has to be important to the parents and to the student athletes. So I talk about the addition, or I say it's the end factor. I want to be an All-American or a national champion, and I want to run a company, and I want to. So if I sit in your living room and you say to me, Coach, I want to be an All-American, I want to be a national champion, then I wait and I don't hear, oh, and I want to take over, a business, or I want to get on Wall Street, or I want to be an engineer. Then I kind of say like, this is not the guy for me, because I want somebody that is equally focused on both parts of those things are important. And then in education, what a Duke education means to parents, I want them to understand when your kid graduates from Duke, he's not going to be living in your cellar anymore. He's going to make a lot of money. He's going to be taking care of you when it's all said and done. So that's what we kind of talk about with the Duke degree and what that means and how much. I tell you what, I said, you can throw a Duke, say a Duke, you have a chip and you put it in a bag and it had Duke, Harvard, Yale, Columbia, and you mix it up and a CEO pulls out the chip and he's like, oh, I got a Duke chip. He's not going to be, oh my goodness, I got a Duke chip. He's going to be like just as happy to get a Duke chip as a Harvard chip. So, we have a lot of great things going on here at Duke, and there's a lot of great opportunities for a student athlete to come here. For Duke, it offers a lot. It shows really great. So I'm happy to be here. Obviously, you can tell. So
yeah, that's great. I mean, obviously, you've been there a long time, and you've decided to shake things up a little bit this year. You've added the great Tom Erickson, the great NATO to your coaching tree. How'd that come about? What made you want to shake things up, and what made those two guys the right fit for your program?
Well, I'll talk. Obviously, Tom Erickson. I've known him for a long, long time, and we wrestled together at Oklahoma State. And just was on some great teams together there. Then we did the freestyle stuff together. So I always talk to Tom if I had an opportunity to bring him into the situation that I was in, that I was going to bring him in. So we talked throughout the years, and hey, Tom, what do you think about this? So picking his brain on that. So I knew that I was going to bring Tom in and what he brings to the program structure. We're going to be hosting the ACCs in 2 years. Tom hosted the Big Tens at Purdue. So I was thinking way ahead when they said, oh, Duke's going to be hosting. And I wanted it to be awesome, when we get this thing. So obviously you get a guy like Tom Erickson that can bring that structure in. I mean, you're talking about, him hosting an awesome event with 14 teams. We have 6. So I can imagine in Cameron what that's going to look like when he gets his hand on it. And, it's funny, when I talked to Tom, he's already was looking at venues to have like different things going on to have with wrestling. So I knew that was going to be a great fit. So that was a no-brainer for me to get a guy like that in here too. And then obviously Tomasello.
As far as Erickson, what's that going to mean for your big boys?
Oh, that's going to mean some pain for the big boys. That's going to mean a lot of pain. When he laces his shoes up, you're gonna get the bear claw, up beside the head if you're not doing the right things. Tom's the bodyguard for me. He's done that ever since college. So my persona, the tough guy, I don't need that anymore. It's like now I got the big man. I just say, all right, here's an individual with the big man if you want something. So it's all good on that aspect for me now. I don't have to. The wear and tear on my body is going to be a lot less.
All right. So talk about NATO, man. You bring him in. What a guy. I mean, he's a rock. I mean, I've talked to a couple other national champions, and I've heard people post that, man, to move that kid around and to when you work with him, I mean, you get 100% of him.
Oh, no doubt. And Nathan, he's a great wrestler, but he's even a greater person. I mean, he wants to mentor our student athletes in the right way. I mean, yeah, he wants to get them on the podium and do all that stuff. But I know it may sound cliche and a lot of people, but he wants to make good people. He wants to turn out, young guys that are going to come out of this program that, you're not going to be behind them in their, and they're lighting it up with profanity and all that kind of stuff. So Nathan is just, he wants to mold guys. And when I tell you it's a struggle for him to say, do I want to do the Olympic thing and I want to put all that effort in, or do I want to put all of my effort into developing guys? It truly is a struggle because he loves being in the room. You can see how the guys gravitate towards him. Everybody wants to get an individual with him, not just because, what he does on the mat, but because how the way he, approaches wrestling and how the way he approaches that mentality and what you have to be in order to get what he's got. So bringing him in, I wanted somebody, but look, I'm old enough to be a lot of these kids' dads, so when they hear me talking, they hear, oh, that sounds like my old man, and their ears get small. But when Nathan talks, they're like, this is a guy we speak the same language, and when he talks about, what it takes and all this other stuff, it's not coming from your dad. It's coming from Nathan. So it's just a different feel. And that's what I wanted to get, somebody who can relate more on the level with the, and then I wanted our lighter weight guys to be tougher. And I wanted them to just to have that mentality of going out there, setting the tone. And I felt like bringing we got we got a guy up top who can start it, a guy who can close it like Tom Erickson, and he's coaching these heavy guys to know how to close a match out. But then I wanted to spark it with Nathan. Hey, teach a guy that sets the tone when he's out at 25 and he comes out. It sets the whole duel when he's like rough and he's physical and he's getting up in a guy's face and he's holding their head down and he's cutting them, letting them out. And the guys are like, yeah, I'm next to 33. He's like, I'm fired up. I want to do that too. And then 41. And then it comes down to the heavyweight. You got a tight match and you look at your heavyweight and you got a closer. And he's like, dude, I'm going to get this done. And he's got that confidence, that swag. He walks out on the mat and you're like, he shakes hands and he's like, he's roughing the guy up. And the guy's like, oh, what am I doing? And he pins him and the team's like going crazy, right? So those are the things I experienced in college. I remember we had Penn State down and it was standing room only. And it was a nip and tuck duel with bumping guys up. We're doing all this kind of stuff. And they're ranked number 1 in some polls. We're ranked number, and we get Erickson. I look at this guy and he's like a bear out there. And he's like, you turn him loose and everybody's standing crazy. That's what promotes wrestling. And that's what I want to have happen at Duke, and we have to get guys that experience that have done that before. And that's why we got these 2 guys in on our staff.
I was on I was blessed to be invited by Jacob Hughley on his, he does a fantasy show too with HMA, right? Home Mat Advantage. And he invited me on and here I am sitting and there's Seth Crow and there's Jack up there, right? And I'm like, wow, I'm on the show with these 2. But one of the matchups that was brought up was one with NATO or something. And I think Jack said something like, well, I think he would turn NATO. And Seth Crow was like, nobody turns NATO. Like you may beat him in other ways, but
yeah,
to turn that guy is very difficult. And he knows how to be low to the ground and be a rock. But I mean, I've seen it I've gone to a clinic where he was in the room and I could imagine what it is at a college room, but at a little level, all these kids are begging him to go one-on-one with them, whether they're 5, 8, 10, 15 years old, whatever. They're all and man, he was so gracious, he was doing it. And then, so man, great additions there for you. And, and hopefully those 2 also help attract more kids, having those 2, especially big guys. Cause Erickson's known as the creator of some heavyweight champs, right? So hopefully we get some big guys at Duke and then getting that Duke education. I mean, you have Duke on your resume, you get 10 extra credit points for that.
No doubt. You get a lot more looks, you get a lot more looks when you got that Duke and the connection with those guys. They're just, they want to help each other out. I get the calls all the time. It's like, hey, what do you have in this area? What do you have in this area? I want to get a Duke guy in. I want to get a Duke guy in. So they're always looking out for each other. So that's what I think that you get, with that Duke degree, you get that these guys looking at the network is unbelievable. And that's something that you don't get at a lot of places. A lot of times when you graduate, it's like, hey, good luck to you. Good luck. Hey, thumbs up. Congrats, you got
the world you go.
Yep, hey, get out of the world. So,
Brent Branson here, he says, I guess there's a little rivalry between you and Coach Pop at NC State.
Hey, you know what? Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. We gotta make it one. But what's funny is like, Pat and Coleman. I mean, it's great that during the season we want to beat each other. We want to do, but off season, I mean, our room, Casper, goes down to here. We had those guys down in our room, so now we have Nathan, he goes down there and trains. And so it's a good environment to develop guys. But obviously we're competitive enough to want to beat each other. But then too, is I'm a fan of Pat's program when he's not wrestling me. And I'm a fan of Coleman's program when he's not wrestling me because, you want to get our philosophy out. And that's the Oklahoma State philosophy, what we believe, when you go there, all those things. And so you kind of like, I want to see those guys succeed because we have 10 coaches that have been in Oklahoma State that are in D1 right now. So we're taking over. We're taking over. So the triangle, we got Erickson here. We got another cowboy here in the triangle. So we got a lot of good things going on. So at the same time, we want our programs to grow, but we want our philosophy to grow as well too. So
that's awesome. Jacob Hughley says, who are some new guys that Duke fans, excuse me, should be excited to see this season?
I think, looking at our guys, obviously I like Logan Agan in Ohio. Don't people are saying I'm loving on Ohio, but here comes the love fest. I think he's going to be, he's a tough kid. He's gritty. You look at what he's done. I mean, he's beaten a lot of the, it's funny. They didn't give him a lot of love, but he's beaten a lot of top ranked guys at 19 and 20, and I think he's going to be a guy that's going to be, you're going to look for, Connor Becker is another freshman, another Ohio kid. We got Chaconis out of Jersey. We got some nice kids that I'm super excited to just get them experienced and then watch what they do within the next couple of years in our program. So I'm excited because what's funny is I got this from a professor my first year here at Duke, and I see him every now and then. He goes, your first year here, he goes, I couldn't tell a wrestler from a fencer. And I was like, really? So he goes, I can tell what wrestlers look like, now. I know what they look like. He goes, they just look, you can tell. And he goes, that's a credit to what the guys you're bringing in and the evolution of your strength and conditioning, all these other things. But he goes, they look like wrestlers. They look like they can get out and just tear a guy's arms off. And I'm hearing this from a Duke professor. So I was like, yeah, I like that. I like that, Doc. I appreciate that compliment.
You've been now in the ACC for a decade, 2 as an assistant, and the last 8 as the head coach. And just in my short period of time in wrestling, a few years, but the growth of ACC wrestling has been really good. I mean, it seems like they're putting guys on the national level every year. They're becoming a national powerhouse. How far has the ACC come in your time there, and what has started to make them such a great conference?
I think the importance to the administrators about how important wrestling is, and just all the programs. I'm talking from Pitt to Virginia Tech to Virginia. They all do a great job with, the academics and the athletic component. So they stress all of those things equally. And you just get a good kid coming out of these conferences. And then it's an arms race too. You got, now you got, Coleman trying to up me with bringing Jameel Kelly in because I bring, Erickson and Tomasello in. So it's always something that these guys are like, they're, hey, so who you bringing in? And they wait and okay. So now all of a sudden the die down that what we bring in, then all of a sudden, Coleman's going to hit us with that kind of stuff. And then I'm sure Pat's got something up his sleeve down the road too. So I think it's a great rivalry. And I think it spreads across the conference. All of us are on board with the betterment of wrestling first and our program second. So we're in communication with we're calling each other on Zoom calls and we're saying, hey, how can we, move forward with NCAAs? What do we want and so we as a conference were unanimous with the start of January 1. We all got together, we talked about the benefits of that, and we all unanimously as a conference said, hey, we want to do this. So I think we're all on the same page. And you look at what our conference used to do with qualifiers and now what we do. Like, like I said, we're averaging, we're averaging 4 guys per weight class. Some weight classes are taking everybody. And that's a testament to what we're doing and how we're going at, you look at who Pat's wrestling, who Coleman's wrestling, who we wrestle, who Pitt wrestles. We're going after Big Ten teams and we're going after all these top teams and we're going after top Ivy League teams and we're wrestling all these and we're getting our wrestlers. We're going to the scuffle. We're going to Florida. We're doing all these things and our administrators are getting that. So they're increasing the budgets and they're allowing us the opportunity to get our guys better. So, yeah.
And you're putting kids on the podium.
Oh, no doubt. You look at us, like I said, so we're going, we got a streak going it's it's up there with Michigan and Ohio State and Iowa with, hey, every time these guys have a guy that's ranked, they're putting them on the podium. They're doing that, and that's what we're doing. So it's a good streak. We want to continue that. We want to get multiple All-Americans. We got to get over the hump and get a national champ. We've had a finalist. We got to get a champ now, and then we can kind of complete that circle. So it's some exciting things at Duke, and but as a conference, I'm excited to be in this conference because it's competitive. Guys want to win, but guys want to do things the right way.
Yeah, and every school you go to is like a weekend vacation.
No doubt. There's every school in this conference offers something. You go down, and I'm not, like I said, I don't want to be a recruit for Virginia, but you look at how beautiful that campus is, and then you come to Duke, and then you come to Carolina, and then you go to State. Every campus has just like a unique, just a beauty to, Virginia Tech. They got, just the beautiful mountains and all that kind of. So you got some great stuff going on in this conference. You'd have to be crazy not to want to come here. The thing, like, it used to be like, oh, if you go to the ACC, you can't go to nationals. It's like, you can go to nationals, and not only you can go to nationals, you can win nationals, you can be an All-American. So this conference has a lot to offer. You got to give it you got to give it a try. At least come on a visit.
Yeah, that's awesome. Another question from Jacob Hughley. You mentioned that your athletes train together after college. Have there ever been talks about a joint RTC between the 3 North Carolina schools?
We definitely, we have Kenny Monday down here now, and he's over at UNC. And so he's kind of talked a little bit about what would a joint deal look like. I think for me personally, I think it would be great, but I think the other 2 schools would have to kind of say, what are we bringing to the table? Is it going to be a recruiting component? Because I think if you just do the senior level development, which most of the schools have been doing right now, and if that's the main focus, it's going to be a lot easier than if it's a recruiting tool, because then you're going to say, if you're NC State, you're going to say, well, hey, I'm using this to get so-and-so XYZ athlete here and in UNC, and we're doing the same thing. But if we could come together and say, what's the main focus? Okay, developing senior level athletes, getting them on that circuit, then I think a triangle regional training center would be an awesome idea.
Cool. So now, before we get into the 10 questions and stuff, I know you want to discuss coaching opportunities. So elaborate on that a little bit and get into.
Well, I was just talking about, we're talking about all of the environment that's going on right now, as particularly, with Black coaches being involved in head coaching opportunities. And I am always one, because I look at the way when I got into this sport, I started out as an assistant, then I was a head assistant, and and then I was a second assistant, I was first assistant. All of those things that you had to do in order to, when you see a lot of times like other athletes come out and they're right ahead. So I think for us, I think it's in order to keep more minorities in wrestling, we have to have more opportunities to be not just a workout guy, but to learn the ins and outs of the program. And I was fortunate to have, when I went to Purdue, it got opened up to me a lot of things, the availability to reach out to alumni, to see different aspects of a program and how it's run, helped me to get the Duke job. But I think if you're going through the gamut of like, okay, all of those things, you don't have time to be an assistant, for 3 years, or a volunteer for 4 years. And then by the time you get up to the head coaching job, you're kind of long in the tooth. And I think the opportunity to open up for particularly Black athletes to have the experience to learn the next side of it, we have to do something better for that. So that's my little spiel on it. I think there needs to be more opportunity to get more people who look like me in roles that are head coaching roles.
And I think there's a lot of great young Black coaches out there. I've talked to the Morgan brothers. I've talked to the Morris twins. I've talked to, Coach Scott down at Lake Highland Prep. I've talked to the coach at FBC or whatever that. And I mean, I've talked to a ton of them, Creighton, and I can keep going. If I forgot you guys, please. I've done 300 of these, but yeah, there's a lot of great young Black men out there that are coaching right now and that are doing really good things. And I'd love to see how they progress, and it'll be fun to watch them.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
So listen, I'm going to do my 10 questions, and today I'm going to do them. I'm going to do my 10 questions are brought to you by Matt Geeks. Since we have an ACC coach on, we'll say these 10 questions are brought to you by Matt Geeks. So all ACC, anything you want to know ACC, Matt Geeks and Jacob Hughley, he's the guy. So my 10 questions are brought from him. Check out his show, Everything ACC. It's good stuff. So here we go. You ready, Coach?
Yes.
Cameron Indoor or Wallace Wade?
Cameron Indoor. Cameron Indoor.
Crazy.
No doubt.
The Original Q or City Barbecue?
Oh, Q Shack all the way.
Q Shack all the way. Card Gym or Coskren Stadium?
Oh, Card Gym. A lot of great matches in Card, no doubt.
Al's or Corbett's Burgers?
I gotta go with I gotta go with. Oh man, I don't want to get myself in trouble there. I do both, so I don't know. I'm gonna be political.
There's no rules. There's no rules. If you say both, I'm good with that.
I'm gonna be political in this climate of, I'm gonna be. I like both. I like both.
I like the burgers at Al's, but the French fries.
There you go.
Yeah, the shit.
There you go. That's what we're gonna do.
Jack Combs Field or Morris Williams Track?
Oh, got to get out on the track. We have our guys doing that track, in March. So got to get on that track for sure.
Nouveau Tello or Salt and Lime? Nouveau Taco or Salt and Lime?
I'm gonna go to Salt and Lime.
The Wellness Center or the Aquatic Center?
I'm gonna go aquatics. I like to get in that pool every now and then.
To get that pool. But these are all great places on the Duke campus.
No doubt.
Get your butt kicked in the wrestling room and walk on over to the Wellness Center and get fixed up.
There you go.
Let's see what we got here. Pizzeria Toro or Hutchins?
I go Pizzeria Toro for sure.
Nice. The Ford Library or the Basketball Museum?
Basketball Museum. A lot of good stuff going on up there.
All right, so you're out for a fancy meal, you're doing recruiting, or you got parents in town. You go to Vinraj or Capitol Grill?
Capitol Grill. Capitol Grill. A taste for everyone. A taste for everyone at the Capitol Grill. Yeah.
That's awesome. Speaking of Capitol Grill, so, God, it must have been, I don't know, late at night. And I was walking down. There used to be this restaurant on the top of the mall, and you come down the steps.
Uh-huh.
At the bottom of the mall is a Capitol Grill. So, me and my friend, we were up there. I'm coming down the steps, and this guy walks right by me into Capitol Grill, and it takes me a second, and I think, holy shit, that was Grant Hill. And I was like, damn, now I know. Capitol Grill, Duke, Capitol Grill here. I'm sure he's frequented both.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
And there's a Dookie that everybody, man, it's a shame he was injured. I think arguably one of the best basketball guys we've seen in my lifetime. So
great mind too.
You get a lot of great guys coming out of Duke, but this has been great, Coach. I mean, keep kicking life's ass, like I tell everybody, and keep doing big things. And I hope one day I get up there and visit you and say hello and get to say thank you for coming.
We got to get you. We got to get you into a basketball game, my man. That's what we got to get you going.
Absolutely, I'm in. I'll wear my mask.
There you go. We need to make this happen.
For sure. Is it easier to message you on Facebook or Instagram?
Facebook, Instagram. I check them both.
All right, I'll message you my cell phone and we'll get together.
Sounds good. Hey, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Man. Tell NATO I said what's up.
We'll tell NATO. Yeah, for sure.
All right. See you, buddy.
All right, buddy.